There's a lot of YouTube videos about fixing your garage door. So this one's pretty much the same thing. It was collapsing in the center. In fact, the failure a few days ago was the center section of the door here fell back probably 1.5 feet. Folded the entire door in half. You can see all these, some of this stuff was already there and it just folded even worse. It was really, it looked like something out of the Twilight Zone. It was amazing. Well, so in keeping with using what I've got, because the hardware store is 84 miles round trip from here, the first thing I did was the header was mangled really bad in there. There was nothing, I tried like crazy to straighten it, and so I just hacked through it and then put each half up and then screwed them in and stuff, and that stabilizes it a little, but not much. It still bends here in the middle, and I had an 8-foot piece of Unistrut, or at the big box store, sometimes it's called Superstrut. And this is the full size stuff. It's whatever it is, 1 5/8 by 1 5/8. You can get half the thickness. It's also half the weight. But I just didn't want to spend the money because I already had this big giant piece. So I bolted that on first, and that proved the concept. The door went up and down because it completely quit going up and down. And then today I thought, you know what? I've got some heavy wall EMT tubing from the big box stores. It's a lot thicker than the stuff you use for shade cloth masts and tents and stuff. It's a lot thicker. So it's a lot stiffer, consequently. Now, is it as strong as a 90-degree angle? No. But these are $10 a stick, and that angled stuff is extremely expensive. At least around here, it was like $35, and I said, okay, never gonna happen. So the experiment was, if I could put 3 of these 8-foot pieces on here, how am I doing? How's it gonna work out? And these are 1/4 bolts with a nylock nut on the back side. Let's see if I can find it. One of my little tricks was, when you want to get to the nut on the back side, put some tape on half your wrench, push the nut against it, slide it back there, and then bam. Spin it on with a cordless driver, impact driver of some kind. So that works really well. It's in good shape. It's smooth, way smoother. Someday, you know, not today, not this weekend, I'll splint a bunch of these that are cracked, and that'll smooth it out a little bit more. Yeah, this one's cracked real bad. Three cracks right there, and on and on and on. So this is a cheap door. What's it called? Dalton dipsticks. I don't know, whatever it's called. Anyway, it's a super cheap door, but I'm going to get a couple more years out of it. You've seen all the repairs I've made in the past down there on the bottom, things like that. But it needed this worst of all, and I really didn't understand about the sagging until I watched a bunch of YouTube videos where a whole bunch of people have that problem. And then I looked at mine and I had the same problem. So I have no angle material. I didn't want to use wood. I don't know, it's stronger wood or this pipe. But it's easy to cut on my saw and blah blah blah. So there it is, and it's I don't know, it's really good. The only flaw, and I'm just gonna say I really don't care, is when you open the door, this touches right there. You can see it scratching a little bit, and maybe I should do something about that. This is supposed to be, according to one guy, horizontal. So if I move this down a couple notches and then tilted this back over, then it would add a little more space there, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe right now I just don't care. It works. It works really good. So I've got some sources for material are these window frames. These channels are aluminum and they're just stiff as you can believe. These, on my particular door, this distance here is 1 inch. I don't know how deep it is, 5/8, something like that. So I thought about sticking pieces of these or something like that across some of these cracks and see if see if we can get something to help straighten these edges out a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. I could go down to the store and get some, you know, 1/2 inch angle material like one guy suggested, but it's just, I don't know. If you got it laying around, you use it. I put all new windows in my house 5 years ago, and I kept the double pane glass, and I kept the frames, and it's all really useful stuff at some point in time. It depends on how long you're willing to wait. The other thing I had to do that was really scary is wind the spring. That was really scary. Probably the best tip I got was a guy said to take vice grips and attach them to here and tilt them upward, and that way this bar will not rotate when you're moving the spring, and unwind your spool. Yeah, tell me how I found that out. So a lot of times, you know, there's one guy that'll show you something you didn't know, and that one guy was a pro, and he said, yeah, you need to do it this way. So my door's not quite balanced. It needs to be twisted another 1/4 turn, maybe 1/2 turn, and then the door will be balanced. But right now it's working really, really good. What I was using in those are 1/2 inch holes. What I was using was 3/8 drive extensions for sockets to stick in there, and one was a 1/2 inch drive with a 3/8 adapter on it, and it worked okay. I have some 1/2 inch rebar around, and I think grinding it to fit would be a much smarter move. You want it as long as you can get it without it hitting any of the studs, so that you have leverage. One of them had good leverage, and the other bar had really bad leverage. So I was up there sweating bullets when I was, you know, standing on the ladder. So that was just not worth it. So I did it. I'm glad I did it, but it's not something you want to be careful of, and always wear safety glasses. Now, something I just discovered while I was putting this in a few minutes ago is I drill these holes in one shot. I clamp it here, and I drill the hole through both walls here, the back wall, and this wall. Now the problem is, that means in 3 places on this tube, there's metal filings in there. So they'll start rattling out and dropping on people and dropping on things. So you need to take compressed air and blow them out when nobody's around, and clean those filings out of there. So there's a ton of them in there. I reached in there with my finger, and I was a little surprised how much there was. So you want to do a good cleanup job on that. So right now it looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's one thing that happened is the gap. Let's see, can I even see it anymore? The gap to the outside header here is way more closed up than it used to be. It's still 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch, but it's way better than it used to be. So another day I will work on this, on these brakes, and either screw them in, rivet them in. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. Use what you have. These 8-foot pieces of pipe are good enough. They're not as good as angle, but angle's really expensive if you get it in a big enough size. This is 1 inch EMT, if I failed to mention that. And these are 1.5 inch, I think, screws, or 1.25 inch grade 8 screws that I've had for 20 years. Finally put them to use. And boy, I'll tell you what, it's worth it. This thing is not perfectly quiet, but it's not banging and popping and crashing like it was. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. So what do we have to do? I don't know. It's good for now. I'll adjust it more another day. I should probably bridge these 2 pieces here, although, you know what, with this giant piece of Unistrut on here, it probably won't make any difference at all. So it works good. If I haven't showed you, let me bring it up one more time. Yeah, it's banging and knocking a little bit, but it's doing pretty good. I think this tube is bowing just a little bit. I think it carries more weight than the other two. I could add another one next to it, you know, parallel it a little bit. But like I said, good enough is good enough. Yeah, see that one? It looks from down here on the ground, that does look like it's a little bowed. But it's doing pretty good. I think it's all right for now. I may add another one on. It's not hard. I don't know if I have any more 10-footers, because mine were bent. The 10-footers got bent in a windstorm, and I cut the bad part off and then straightened it. Way of straightening it, if you need to, is lay one end in a groove like this and the rest out on the ground, and just stand on it a little, rotate it, stand on it, keep working it until you get it straight. Didn't take hardly anything, and I'm pretty happy about that. So anyway, it isn't perfect. It isn't supposed to be perfect. It just works. Okay, let's see how this looks. All right, well, I'm thrilled. It's functional. I haven't had a garage door in a week. And you know what? A garage door is a tool, just like any tool in your toolbox. And when you need that tool and it doesn't work, you gotta fix it. So thanks to everybody out there that put out a garage video. I probably watched it. I watched a couple dozen of them, and I learned a lot, especially from a couple of you that were pros. So that's it for now. Thanks for everybody's work. My garage door is back up and running, and we'll see how long these EMT pipes hold up. See you, bye.